So you need to know that your soul is always guiding you. Something that we've lost in our modern world. And let me break it down for you. It has a lot to do with dropping into being, because we are forgetting that from this beingness is where we access our divinity, and where you are guided most is within this vessel, within your own psyche. But it's not the psyche of this world, it's the experience of the consciousness that you're tapped into. It's the higher consciousness. However, we have to balance that with the idea and the experience of being in a human body. So there are some ways that we transcend our human body, but there's also some ways that we are very much human beings, right? That's why I call this healing within our humanity. We are remembering what it's like to have the soul guidance from sentience and sensing abilities, and to not use the mind to predict the future. That's a distortion. We use the mind to collect data and to see patterns. However, we do not use the mind to predict or to tell us what we should do for the future. How we make decisions about ourselves and how we operate in the world, or how we want to be in the world, is a soul-led decision, and your soul is always guiding you. So let me give you an example of this. I have always said that I don't care whether or not I made a decision that was good or bad. I don't make decisions based off of them being good or bad. I make decisions based off of whether or not it was soul aligned. This means that I have a sensation inside my body, inside my essence, that is almost like a silent call. And I can tell when I am listening to that call, or if I am making a decision because I'm motivated to be a good person in this world, or because I perceive that I need to do this thing XYZ, or behave in this way, or to make a certain decision because I'm trying to pacify my humanness. So when I was 20 years old, I packed up my whole car and I moved out to Montana. I absolutely love Montana, and it's somewhere that I feel very free. It's somewhere that I needed to go and express myself, go kind of launch myself into the world. And even though it was scary, like I remember when I was in the hotel room halfway across like the journey, and I called my dad and I was like, is this what I should be doing? Like, is this really, like, what am I doing? Isn't this kind of wild? And he was like, no, you're doing a great thing. You're supposed to go experience life, and you're going to learn so much about yourself, right? And so that was really exciting and amazing. And I still remember that hotel room. And I found, like, my car broke on the way out there. Really nice guy. I looked at it. I was like 2 hours from the place where I was gonna land. I was going to Bozeman. And he was like, oh, but you can make it on this, like you can still drive. So I still drove, like, and then I got there and I like had found someone on Craigslist to rent a room with, and he was a super nice dude. He had good references, and all of that sounds wildly crazy. My family thought I was gonna get murdered or something, but I didn't. Nothing harmful ever happened to me, because I didn't believe that was a I didn't really put any energy into that. When you're young, you're kind of just inspired and you follow that inspiration. And I think we forget that as we get older. So that experience was soul-led. I just felt this urge to do it, this longing, this desire, this needing, the sensation that my soul was starving for this experience. Or not starving, but really it desired, it had an appetite for this experience. And that is what I call soul-led. The way I feel that is in my body. And so if I'm not connected to my body, then I'm going to miss the signals. And that's how we get trapped in the matrix. This is how we get trapped in being in the world. We are constantly trying to live out of our mind instead of our body. That's why we call this drop into being, right? So I'll tell you now another decision I made that was not soul-led. It was made out of the mental mind, and it was made from fear. So I had spent about a month and a half in Bozeman, and I got scared. I had started running out of money. I hadn't gotten a job yet, despite trying to find several serving jobs. And I started to feel a little homesick. I was very loyal to my family, and I feel like I grew up in patterns that made me codependent to my family, and so I started missing them. So the decision I made was, when I started feeling that pressure mounting, instead of developing myself and developing the skills that I needed to transcend the experience and allowing the time to pass and be able to see and recognize those patterns happening in real time, which is what I teach you here, I didn't have the capacity then. So instead, I just immediately, like one day another thing that happened real quick is I was dating someone there, and I got super triggered. My my relational patterns got super triggered, and I felt unsafe. I just felt unsafe in my psyche, right? And so I, with just impulse decision, decided to go back, and I was like, well, it makes sense. I'm running out of money. This is this and this. I fell back into more patterns and unconsciousness for a very long time. And honestly, it also put me in a pattern of unconsciousness for probably a lot longer. I created new timelines that then made it very difficult for me to leave my home state again, and I wasn't able to leave for another 7 or 8 years. And I'm telling you this because it's really this is how we create more karmic cycles for ourselves, is when we make decisions out of fear, then it creates a trauma loop or a cycle that we then have to kind of clean up. And so I'm sure you felt the effects of this. Pain comes from being out of alignment with your soul self. Pain comes from making decisions out of fear. And I keep saying that, and I know that it sounds very generic, matrix, it sounds very rational. This is a function of the body, right? Like, your body wants to keep you safe. I think there's so much research out there, and a lot of people already say this. Like, your reptilian brain will start firing, and until you're in a familiar situation, not necessarily a growth situation, then you're going to continue feeling like you need to do something about it to become safe, which usually means going back to something familiar, not something that's going to challenge you. Our soul lead us to situations that are maybe bad or that are not necessarily good for us. So our soul also knows the certain situations and contingencies and experiences that we need to experience in order to develop the character or the skills or the inner resource that we require for that next up level or that next thing that we desire. So it's okay to want something. It's okay to have desires and an idea of where you want to be in life. However, we still have to surrender to the divine plan, which is not ours. And surrendering to what the divine instructs us to do, like I said, doesn't always sound rational, but we can trust in it when we trust that life is taking care of us. And when we experience suffering or bad things happening to us, it's because we made a decision out of fear, not out of alignment. We will always be taken care of if we make our decision out of alignment. But when we make a decision out of fear, then that's when we experience the difficulties that then we're like, well, why would God want me to go through this? Or, if I could have trusted my intuition, then it wouldn't have happened this way. Well, did you trust your intuition? Was it really, truly your intuition and your guidance from the divine by dropping into being and being in your wholeness and knowing that you're safe and taken care of? Or was it made out of your intuition that feels like intuition, but it's really your gut and your fear being ignited? There's these nuances, and that's what I teach here at Drop Into Being. So I'm so glad you're here with me. One of the ways that you know that you're being guided by true intuition, that you're being guided by your own divine instruction, is because this thing will give you excitement, even if it feels like a little sketchy, right? Like I told you the story about me driving out to Montana at 20, naive to the world, but so enlightened. I was just like, look at this. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Like, you will feel lit up. You will feel like you can tackle anything, that you're willing to go up against any challenge, because you will be resourceful in your ability to think and problem solve, and you're willing to do that. That means that you're being soul led. And conversely, when you're feeling constricted and constrained and worried and paranoid, and you're starting to just kind of do this about life or about the situation, that means that you are in a fear response. It means that you're not divinely led. I'll give you a quick exercise before I sum up this video to get back into your divinity, so that you can then make that decision from a space of divine instruction and presence with your soul, and not from a fear-based program. The quick exercise that I'm going to teach you to do is just being able to sit in your body. So that's why, if you want the number one thing every day to do, that's going to bring you to the path of your own enlightenment and your own peace and your own purpose, is to sit with yourself. Because we cannot develop who we are and become flexible in our mind and flexible in our mission if we do not sit with ourselves. Sitting with ourselves in present awareness is the only way to access our divinity. So you have to start practicing. It's a skill, it's a muscle, it's just repetition. And it gets easier over time. It's so nice to be in the presence of your own self when you are doing so with loving compassion for yourself and appreciation of who you are and where you are in your journey. And I will link a video below that goes into this in much more detail. I think it's about forgiving yourself. So it's about relating to yourself with compassion and self-awareness, not with the fear programs, which are guilt, shame, blame, judgment, things like that. So drop into your body, take a deep breath, and I just want you to visualize one of your favorite places. This could be in your imagination, somewhere you haven't been yet, or somewhere that you are or have actual memories in, and you're alone in this space. It's just you. Everything is all right. The sun is shining. You have the perfect temperature. And here you're going to see your whole self. Here you see this being outside of you who is you. And you can bring this person into your being, and you can be this being, this whole being as well, if you really want to take it there. Because the truth is, this being is always with you, is within you. There's no separateness. And I want this being, this essence of your own wholeness, to tell you, to give you some advice, to give you some transmission. What does this being feel like? What do they express? What do they look like? And just soak into this, just relax into it. And when you feel safe and secure and loved and fulfilled, and it's a beautiful day and you're just doing great, and you're feeling aligned with who you are, there's no doubt, you are this person. Just know what this feels like. Lock it into your memory. Then I want you to ask this question. From my wholeness, what would my wholeness do with this decision in front of me? Which decision would my wholeness make? When I am in my wholeness, as I am right now, what is the next step I should make? What is my next aligned action? Thank you for being here. I hope that sometimes it makes me cry because it just feels so good. And my human self is like, has been having so much grief and doubt lately. So this tapping into my own being right now with you guys. Has actually just brought me so much joy and relief. It's relief knowing that like we are not the human condition. It's so easy to get lost in the world. I'll see you next time.